Hello, welcome to the Indian AvGeek. This is quite a special show because in the 2-year history of this podcast, we have only had one other instance where I have produced a show outside of the normal schedule. That instance was the tragic accident of an Air India aircraft last year. Well, on the evening of 10th March, couple of days back, Indian aviation was rocked once again by the sudden, and I place a lot of emphasis on that, a sudden, immediate departure of Pieter Elbers, the CEO of IndiGo. If you go through Pieter's and IndiGo's LinkedIn profile page, you will see thousands of pictures over the last 4 years or so. He's been at the airline, of him across the country, going from station to station, meeting with his people, and just enjoying his time in India. This seemed like the perfect marriage. Then, of course, came last December, and IndiGo had a massive meltdown. Just to be clear, IndiGo is not the only airline in the world to have a meltdown like that. That does not excuse IndiGo, but for context, airlines like Delta, Southwest, American, even British Airways, and so many other major airlines across the world have had incidents like that. And it was even more unfortunate that it coincided with the high-profile visit of the Russian President Vladimir Putin to India. Now, some people said the government wasn't too happy with the country's largest airline going through a meltdown at the same time, and a lot of television time and news time being taken away by that. The ministry was equally swift in promising action. We all saw pictures of Pieter Elbers with the aviation minister folding hands and apologizing for all the mess that was caused and all the inconvenience that was caused. Fast forward 3 months, and there was a senior departure just a couple of weeks back. But now you hear about a board meeting happening on the evening of 10th March, and by 1800 hours local time, a press release goes out that Pieter Elbers has departed IndiGo with immediate effect. And Rahul Bhatia, the promoter of the airline, will take over for now. Naam to suna hi hoga. That's what he said. That's what Rahul Bhatia said to his colleagues in classic Bollywood fashion. So here we are. It's quite something to really grasp and understand. And that is why I have two brilliant people along with me. Joining us for the first time on the show is Kushan Mitra, a veteran analyst of the Indian industrial landscape and the printer and publisher of The Pioneer, India's second oldest English daily. Kushan has spent decades dissecting the complex intersection of government policy, corporate strategy, and the sheer physics of the Indian aviation business. And then we have our old friend, the definitive voice on Indian aviation, Ajay Awtaney, the founder and editor of LiveFromALounge.com. He understands better than anyone how the stretch in IndiGo's strategy actually lands with the people paying for the seats, the premium pivot that defined the Pieter Elbers era. Wow, I said that. Gentlemen, welcome to the Indian AvGeek.
Thank you for having us, Rishabh.
Good to be back.
Kushan, let's start with you. Pieter Elbers' resignation feels very surgical, very immediate, of course. Usually a CEO of a publicly traded airline overseeing a massive fleet transition has a multi-month glide path. Does this look like a strategic disagreement on IndiGo's path ahead, or a reactive move to the operational scars mentioned in Bhatia's memo regarding last December, or something else altogether?
So there is a school of thought that says that Peter's position was untenable after the events of early December. It's almost exactly 3 months right now. So if one way of looking at this is maybe uh, Peter was serving out his notice period, but as we discussed before we started, it's a publicly listed company, and if a senior management resigns or quits or whatever it is, notices have to be given to the exchanges. But at a level, we all kind of figured after everything that happened, maybe Mr. Elbers' position was untenable. Uh, Other discussions that everybody has had, you can say maybe IndiGo is taking a different path now, changing or refocusing, and given events of the last couple of weeks in over the Persian Gulf, what will there be a completely different focus? I mean, we've seen that 13-hour flight to nowhere just now. Will Indigo have to withdraw from Europe? All of those. I mean, there are many, many issues that need to be answered. I mean, both you and Ajay know the sector very, very well. So I'd love to hear what Ajay has to say as well right now.
So yeah, Kushan and Vishal, I number one, I don't believe in the theory that this was cast in stone 3 months back. Maybe there was, obviously, there must have, the thought must have crossed the mind of someone that this should happen. Maybe this was done under regulatory or government pressure. We don't know. But at the end of the day, you needed somebody accountable to step down. And I think the DGCA asked for the head of the control center, the OCC, and perhaps that was not good enough. So I think personal reason aside, personal reason is faff in this case. Okay, personal reason I think is just a good term to put on the paper, but clearly the implications were of what happened in December. And why I'm saying that is I'm just putting 2 plus 2 together. I've read the internal missive that Rahul Bhatia wrote to the employees, to the rest of the IndiGo organization. And while the board acknowledged the fact that, thanked Peter for his service, Rahul clearly just moved on as if Peter never existed, So he said, I'm stepping in. We build this together. What happened last December should have not happened for any one of you. And thank you for coming back. But in none of this was Peter mentioned. So clearly there was some disagreement brewing at some point of time. And I think that was the reason Peter kind of moved on. Even though I have to put it on the record that, remember, Peter was personally recruited by Rahul Bhatia. He went to Amsterdam. He met Peter there. And long back when Air India was looking for a head, I think, and the Turkish gentleman was declined by national security issues, I was rooting for Peter to join Air India. So these guys got there first, and these guys got him in. So yeah, some disagreement, and a head had to be served. I just did not imagine it would have been Peter's.
Ajay, Rahul Bhatia's sign off on that memo as Hoon Naa is a powerful, almost emotive founder cue. Does this signal a back to basics era where Indigo refocuses on being a ruthless LCC only, or is it Bhatia simply fraying some nerves and calming some nerves?
I would go with the latter. I think the ship has long sailed about being an LCC, and if they wanted to go back to those roots now, it would be a self-goal, honestly. In a duopoly situation, they can milk as much money as they want, especially with that dominant market share. Whatever the competition commission says about it, they are sort of the national connector of India with whatever 65% or 66% market share. And they can charge a price and get away with it. I know people don't like high prices, But with everything that's going on in the market right now, with the plane leases going up, risk assessment going up, oil prices obviously will go up even further if this war doesn't conclude anytime soon. And with all of that, the input costs are high. And I think all three of us on this podcast today know that an airline hardly makes any money. They make like 2 or 3% margin, whatever the world thinks of them making a very high margin on this. So yeah, I think they're not going back to that LCC style thing. They're going to continue down this path.
Absolutely agree, Ajay. I don't, they stopped being an LCC pretty much the day they got listed. I have to disclose that I've been an IndiGo investor since the IPO. I still hold a substantial position in IndiGo. I believe them in the IPO. People say buying into an airline stock is kind of silly. But they've been around now for what, 19 years now? They are India's national connector. In fact, even though I travel a lot between the Delhi, Bangalore, and Mumbai, where Air India does have some hold. If you go to cities like a Chennai, for example, IndiGo is dominant. It's sometimes, if you go to some small towns, all you can see it is a blue board. They can charge exactly what they want. I don't think they're going back. As Ajay rightly pointed out, Rahul Bhatia is very aware of the airline business. He had personally recruited Peter. Peter had built up a great reputation at KLM. Yeah, I mean, maybe, of course, we all know that Peter didn't have friends in some parts of IndiGo management, but yeah, it was a bit jarring to see that note and, not thank the person who started many new aspects of IndiGo. I mean, the international expansion, IndiGo means business. I mean, the entire business class seat, that was all Peter's idea. I mean, whatever.
And we were just talking about how IndiGo is dominant in domestic Indian market, but even internationally out of India, IndiGo has more international seats than Air India. So
Yeah.
it is the number one international Indian carrier as well. So what does this mean in terms of their international ambitions again? I mean, the stretch product or the long haul wide body strategy. Do you think I mean, is that at risk? How will they be able to manage all this in the interim?
Look, IndiGo is an institution, all right? So obviously Peter came in with his ideas. Peter needed to set the strategy. So obviously it's not Peter going and doing those things on a day-to-day basis. Peter created the strategy, which was what was it called? It was called Across New Frontiers, to New Heights and Across New Frontiers. That was what it was called. And he lived by the motto, right? I mean, 25 new stations opened in 3.5 years internationally. How many? 100 million passengers carried?
108. 108.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the headline number is over 100 million. 2,200 flights a day. That's a juggernaut, okay? But obviously you don't, you create systems and processes for that. And the systems and processes will continue to, run the stretch product as well, the international flights as well. Maybe they might not launch new routes and that kind of stuff. That might be on hold, maybe, or maybe not. But the fact is, the A350 will come in. I think a lot of things that they've done under Peter can't be undone, and it'd be illogical for them to, roll back on that. Wide bodies being one, and the business class product being second. And I have reasons for both. So before I hand the mic to Kushan, let me talk about that. So remember, domestically, you're almost a saturated market. While the government wants about 250, 300 more airports coming in, that will happen over time. In the meantime, where do you go? I mean, you have some dud airports that we also developed over time, but all the good airports, they need connectivity. And who has the aircraft supply to kind of dominate that market? It's IndiGo. So that's number one. And then flowing from that, when you have one plane a week arriving, you need to deploy them somewhere, and that will obviously go into the international market. So yeah, I mean, they have a great guy in revenue and network planning, Abhijit
Abhijit
Dasgupta.
Dasgupta. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's ex-Jet, and obviously he's been at the front and center of this expansion. So yeah, IndiGo has great people, a lot of good people. Obviously, all of these things need to kind of, go to the top, and somebody needs to give guidance there. So maybe they kind of hold on a bit and focus more domestically to deploy the new planes. But yeah, the strategy, I think, will continue to execute as is.
Right.
It might be paused, but it's not going to be rolled back. That's my thought process.
Kushan, IndiGo is currently in a high stakes game of fleet chicken with Air India, if I can say that. With Pieter Elbers gone, does IndiGo lose its international edge in the eyes of global partners, or does the Indian market's sheer scale make the CEO's identity, in a way, irrelevant to the airline's momentum?
No, CEOs drive airlines, as you're seeing, what's happening even in the US, right? Let's be honest, the reason uh, airlines like United are taking over so strongly in the US is because of a very strong CEO-led culture. But let's keep in mind everything that Peter did, all of it, I mean, at a level must have been approved by Mr. Bhatia also. It's not as if Peter had a strategy. Of course, I mean, I don't know how much of a carte blanche that he got to do everything. I'm sure Rahul must have given him a free hand, but I'm sure there was some approval, there was a buy-in. And if Rahul Bhatia had a buy-in with Peter's ideas, he's not going to change those overnight. Also, given the scale of what went down in early December, I mean, while I was not personally affected, I don't know about either of you, but there were horror stories left, right, and center. Okay, people were uh, this, this was as bad as the Southwest Airlines disaster back in 24, 23, 24.
23, 24,
23.
Yeah,
Delta,
yeah,
Southwest, all those
yeah.
guys. Yeah.
I mean, but given IndiGo's 65% market share, it just the scale of it, and I guess there was no other airline to pick up the slack, and the shortage of aircraft, blah blah blah. So I think weddings were ruined, everything. It just the bad PR. I mean, and it became a global news item. It was a huge, not only on the aviation uh, publications or podcasts or websites, all of that. It became a global news item across the board. It was there. Indigo is one of the most valuable airlines in the world, so all the business press had it, everything had it. I think this will not make an impact globally, because I think people who follow the business, even business guys, will understand that yeah, maybe some heads had to roll, because let's be honest, IndiGo brought the issues upon themselves. It wasn't
And
as if
Vladimir Putin was in the country, and the government felt that they were taking away too much of attention away, right?
well,
Guys, before you go ahead, Vishal, just to add, 2 points. One, I think the whole systems that I was talking about a few minutes ago, actually, I think those systems actually let them down, because from what hearsay had to say, and obviously I can't personally validate it, Peter, the CEO, the Spanish guy, I forgot his name, and the head of the
Isidro.
and
Yeah.
the OCC head, they
Yeah,
were
all were out of
all
the
working
country.
from outside the country at that point in time. And obviously, they did not pay heed to this the first day it happened. And Peter landed back in town the third or the fourth day to take charge of the situation. That's when all the critical decisions were made. Number one. And number two, all of this kind of obviously left a bad impression. The importance of this was so much that once Mr. Putin left the country, this was being managed by the PMO. Kushan, do you remember you and me had a
yeah,
conversation around
you and
that
I
point, right?
talked
Yeah,
around that time. Yeah.
how important it was.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic crisis. I mean, listen, I don't blame Indigo for taking over 65% of the market. It's not as if the others have not grown. Okay, I mean, we know one airline that when you talk about lease rates, why are lease rates high for Indian carriers? Why can new startups not happen? That's not Indigo's fault. That's the fault of a completely different airline whose name we may not take over here. That's why Indian lease rates are so high. Uh, uh, and that airline's been supported by the government as well, right? So, you know, immediately after Indigo, you saw all the news items. Oh, this airline's been given permission. I said, boss, it's not going to be easy to start. It's not easy to start an airline. We've seen how hard it has been for Akasa, right? I mean, what they just got their 35th plane right now.
Yeah, but again,
Yeah,
Boeing is having some issues again, so you don't know about the rest of them. Also, Kushan, be very careful about that airline you were not talking about, okay? That is Ajay's favorite airline. So, in front of
Uh,
Ajay, you cannot talk anything bad about spicy
my
people.
namesakes, not mine.
Okay, Ajay, if you are Campbell Wilson this evening, are you happy? Are you popping champagne? Are you, what are you feeling?
It's not something to celebrate. Okay. Uh, Look, uh, Pete, I think, the way I look at it, competition is good, and you hardly have any competition left in this country. Okay. So even with two major carriers, they kind of counterbalance each other in various ways. So the division's kind of pretty clear. I think, obviously Air India wants to go toe to toe on domestic, but that kind of depends a lot on the plane aircraft supply, right? I mean, for themselves and for Express both. So the Air India planes are not arriving anytime soon. They might start rolling, the whole big lot start rolling later this year or early next year. In the meantime, I'm sure Mr. Bhatia will recruit someone and pay for his notice period and have him in the hot seat by then. So yeah, I don't think Wilson's celebrating. Wilson is himself kind of a victim of the same kind of situation where, as we heard, he's being pinned down for something he might not have been directly responsible for. Uh, so yeah, I don't think Wilson's celebrating. I think it would have, both of them would have been good counterbalancing each other. So we just gotta wait and see who's the new person stepping into the seat.
I was reading that the board has already decided on a replacement, but so we'll see. I hope in the coming days or weeks they'll announce it, and maybe Rahul Bhatia is here for few months only. But Ajay, any thoughts, any ideas on where do you see Peter going?
I don't have any idea. The only place I can think of is he heads to IATA. IATA is a good place for, IATA needs, I mean, I don't know how long Willie's going to be there. Uh, and, given his stature, Peter's, that is, I think uh, that could be a good place for him to be. But for the kind of, the way, the stature that Peter has and his experience, I think you need a major airline to sign him over. Minor airlines won't do. So Middle East guys always recruit internally. They already have people in the hot seat I mean, on the training legs right now to take over whenever, for instance, certain Clark retires. He could either go back to a European carrier, maybe Lufthansa or the Lufthansa group, I mean. But that's just a dart out there. So at least I don't have any more guesses. Kushan, what about you?
we just barely touched upon what's going on not so far away from India right now, and that's already taking a massive toll on the aviation industry. I mean, with Doha, Abu Dhabi, and Dubai shutting down effectively, you know, global aviation. I don't know how global aviation is going to pan out for the rest of the year. Are you going to be confident enough to fly through any of these hubs? Just today, I just saw the story of one of my friends in the tech journalist Varun Krishnan, who got stuck in Doha. or an awful experience he had. The guy has PTSD from hearing the bangs and blasts around Doha. But um, it's whoever gets into the hot seat, or wherever even Peter goes, or whoever goes, whatever happens to it, I mean, the fallout of the incidents right now taking place. Of course, travel to Southeast Asia will go up. Travel, I mean, India, China is again growing again. More direct flights. Again, IndiGo is taking the lead over there. But yeah, I mean, whoever gets the hot seat in IndiGo is going to have a very tough time. For Peter himself, I think, the world is his oyster. I mean, he's proven himself in multiple roles. He's proven himself even in IndiGo. What I would say about what happened in early December, again, shit happens. Somebody had to be held responsible at the end of the day. Maybe it's him. It had to be him. But he has changed, as Ajay rightly pointed out. He has changed IndiGo forever. The IndiGo of 2026 is the IndiGo built in Pieter Elbers' image, and this IndiGo is the IndiGo that's going to. It just would have been nice to see Peter around when the A350s were inducted, because he would have done a great job.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Vishal, there are a lot of good things that Peter did for the business, right? I mean, I think remember, he's always been a people's person. Even at KLM, they remember him for that. Even now, but even on the product proposition wise, under him they were creative. So when they wanted to move into premium, they did not kind of fully move into like a full scale premium product. They went halfway there, and they know that, and they charge similarly. They don't charge like Air India prices. They charge. They know that there is a certain amount of premium they can charge, and they charge for that. And on international, again, great thinking with Norse. Again, it's a premium economy product with a business class soft product. So you need a man of experience who can marry his international experience with the Indian mindset, and then kind of marry the both and come up with something. So I think I'm sure there are names out there.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of one guy. I'm not going to take the name. Don't ask me for it. Yeah, there are many. That's the kind of person you need to take the seat over now.
Kushan, what precedent does this set in India? Can regulators now force leadership changes through punitive action, even if the official line is personal reasons?
I think it is a fantastic act that somebody has taken the fault, somebody's been held responsible. Far too long, people in positions of power have not been held responsible in Indian business. Keep in mind, at the end of the day, forget aviation. IndiGo is a key part. It's a key listed company in India now. Uh, I mean, listen, the stock price had peaked at 6,000 rupees. It went down to about 4,000 yesterday before the news came out. I mean, when shit was going down in Iran and all of that. In fact, I picked up some more IndiGo stock because of that. But keep in mind that this, from a corporate governance point of view, surely this in airlines aside, holding people responsible, holding top management responsible is good. Um, I have so many cases across India. I mean, you've seen top management get away with. I won't say use the M word here, but yeah, they've gotten away with sexual harassment. I mean, all sorts of things, and nothing has happened. A complete business decision cock-ups and all of that, and nothing happens. I mean, okay, if the top management is the promoter family, that's a different thing altogether. But even with professional top management, so many companies. I mean, I was a business feature writer. I worked in a business magazine for years. I mean, the number of cases you hear and see, and nobody's ever held responsible.
Right. Got
That's
it.
that. I mean, this is not talking about aviation. This is talking completely from the fact that it's a part of the Sensex 30. It is one of the top 10 most valuable companies in India.
In a market where Indigo already carries roughly two-thirds of domestic traffic, does this instability at the top create a real opening for Air India Group, Akasa, or others? Or is Indigo still so deeply embedded in distribution and slots that share shifts will be marginal?
There is an aircraft shortage, as Ajay rightly said. I'm sure if Air India could get 10 planes tomorrow, they would give an arm and a leg for 10 planes tomorrow. I just actually flew Akasa down to Mopa again. I mean, the only sector I've ever flown Akasa on is Delhi to Mopa. But I mean, yeah, they're trying, but again, they need aircraft, right? I mean, 35 aircraft is not exactly competitive by any stretch. You need to have a minimum of 100 planes to be competitive in India, if at all. I do believe the Indian economy needs, the Indian aviation sector needs at least one other large airline beyond Akasa. One other airline can easily come in, but it has to be extremely well capitalized. It has to be, you're not going to, some of the news items about these airlines who are starting up seem almost comical, right? And you're fearful that there's going to be yet another collapse. And I've seen so many over the years. I'm not even talking about go first here, but you've seen so many. When you take off from the runway at taxiway Delta at Delhi Airport beside runway 27, the number of planes, Zoom Air. So
Yeah,
remember Zoom Air?
yeah.
I mean, all those CRJ 200s, you see, but 5 or 6 CRJ 200s parked over there.
The red and golden.
The red and
aircraft.
golden,
Yeah.
old American Airlines, one in the old American Airlines colors. There's so much. I mean, the carcasses all over. I mean, again, not so much in Mumbai, but at Chennai Airport. Yeah, so many of them. All those old Kingfisher ATRs. I mean, those are new planes. We need another airline, but it has to be well capitalized. You cannot run it. Shauqeen airline is not a Shauqeen business, and that's something you are very clear with Rahul Bhatia. It's not a Shauqeen business. It has to make money.
I think Arindam just published an article on et.com, and just to add to what Kushan was saying, it is not a shocking business. So the only thing I want to bring up from Arindam's article is that something that we already knew, that Peter had the full backing of the board and the management of the promoter, to run the airline as he deemed fit. And I think the only change that happened was this whole thing about not hiring extra pilots. And he very clearly says that I'm sure he's more well networked than I am in that circuit. Peter's fate was sealed on the day this whole mishap happened, because Rahul takes pride in the whole institution that he's created, and obviously that was the day he wanted to take control back. So yeah, I think well capitalized. And another thing, you need to find good managers to run the airline. I think, in India, the only airline that kind of picked up people from the outside and got them in and made professionals out of them, aviation professionals out of them, was Vistara in the recent history. Obviously, I've not been around forever.
In fact, the collapse of other airlines is what has made IndiGo stronger, because IndiGo has such a good credit rating. I think more than the institution, I think Rahul Bhatia is also very proud of the credit rating he has built, because IndiGo pays IndiGo and Air India, because of the Tata Group. They pay lower rates.
Indigo is now one of the most important airlines globally for Airbus, especially in narrow body production. Does leadership uncertainty affect supply relationships? What do you think?
Airbus definitely deals directly with Rahul. Rahul was the guy who made the first Airbus deal. So I think that's the point. I think Indian suppliers also know Mr. Bhatia. So Ajay, your thoughts?
No, share that view. I don't think either with the Tata Group or with IndiGo, there should be a case to worry. They will continue on the commitments, and they are some of the largest customers globally right now to acquire planes. So both of them are on the right side of Airbus and Boeing both. Other players, obviously, they seal their fate by not being able to pay up for the planes. So I guess we'll see. And just to add to that, the growth opportunity is there. I think we are blitzing. I would imagine the only room Air India has is maybe a couple of or 2-3 percentage points in terms of market share if they got planes now, while as I expect IndiGo to maybe pause some expansion and Air India can take those places. That's all.
As we wrap up this special broadcast, one thing is clear. The IndiGo that Pieter Elbers leaves tonight is fundamentally different from the one he joined. But whether it remains a global wide-body contender or retreats to its domestic LCC fortress depends entirely on the Hoon Naa era that Rahul Bhatia has just inaugurated. My thanks to Kushan Mitra and Ajay Awtaney for their incredible last-minute insights from the front lines. This is a story that will dominate the boardrooms for months to come. On the next episode of the Indian AvGeek, you will hear from Lufthansa's APAC head. What a time to catch hold of him. Kushan is at Kushan Mitra on X. Ajay is at LiveFromALounge. And you will find me everywhere, including Blue Sky, as at Vishal1 Mehra. Happy to have your feedback. With that, keep your tray tables up, your seatbelts fastened. I wish you well, and happy flying, my friends.